The Galactic Council's arrival. The massive, glowing hall of the Galactic Council stood silent, the vast chamber filled with beings from every corner of the galaxy. They had gathered here for an important meeting, but this time the topic was different. The subject, Earth. The council members, beings from advanced civilizations, were well aware of Earth's existence. They had observed it for centuries, seen its wars, its struggles, and its small, fragile attempts at peace. The council members came from worlds that had long ago mastered technology far beyond anything Earth could imagine. Some were tall and slender, their features sharp and cold. Others were more like shimmering energy, their bodies shifting and pulsing with light. There were insect-like beings, and there were creatures that looked nothing like anything humans would recognize. Yet, one thing was clear. All of them saw themselves as superior, and Earth, well, Earth was just another small, insignificant planet in the vast galaxy, a world that could barely keep up with the rest. At least, that's what the Galactic Council thought. The meeting room buzzed with conversation, the voices of alien beings echoing off the high, dark walls. They were laughing, speaking in a language too fast for anyone to understand. They talked about Earth's history of wars, its rising technology, and the occasional peace treaty that didn't last. There was nothing special about Earth, just a young species struggling to survive in a galaxy full of more powerful races. Suddenly, the chamber quieted. A soft beep echoed through the room, signaling the arrival of an unexpected message. The council members turned their attention to the large holographic screen that hovered in the center of the room. It flickered, showing static for a moment before a clear image appeared. The Galactic Council had expected the message to be routine, probably just another update about Earth's progress. But what they saw instead shocked them. On the screen, there was a simple text message from Earth, one that read, "You've underestimated us. Prepare for the truth." The room fell silent. The message was short, and the tone was casual. It was almost insulting. The council members exchanged puzzled looks, some of them chuckling under their breath. How could Earth, this primitive planet, think it could threaten them? How could they possibly believe they were powerful enough to change the galaxy's balance? "You've underestimated us." The words lingered in the air, and it seemed like everyone in the room had the same thought. Earth had no idea who they were dealing with. Is this some kind of joke? A council member with a reptilian face asked, his voice dripping with amusement. He spoke in a deep, resonating tone, his eyes narrowing. One of the council's human representatives, a short, elderly man with wispy white hair, stood up. His voice was calm, but there was an unmistakable edge to it. "It's not a joke. We've been tracking Earth's developments closely. They've advanced faster than we expected." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room. The other council members looked at each other, the weight of the words slowly sinking in. Had Earth truly advanced? Had they developed something powerful, enough to challenge the might of the Galactic Council? "We've been studying them for centuries," a smooth, humanoid female with silver skin said, her voice cold. "Their military is nothing but primitive, their technology pathetic at best." "Perhaps," the human representative answered, "but even their primitive technology has changed the course of their wars. They've developed new weapons, advanced spacecraft, and strategies that no one expected." The room grew tense. The Galactics had underestimated Earth for so long. They had watched as humans struggled, always getting close to disaster but somehow managing to survive. The wars they fought, the peace treaties they broke, they seemed like a chaotic species, nothing more. But this message, this defiant challenge made them rethink everything. Another council member, a large armored creature with 3 eyes, leaned forward. This message, it's not a threat. It's an invitation. An invitation to something bigger. The room quieted again. The implications of his words hit hard. What if Earth had something hidden? Something they weren't prepared for? And then, the holographic screen flickered again, this time showing a military fleet, Earth's fleet. The ships were large, sleek, and unlike anything the Council had ever seen. They didn't look advanced in the way the Council expected, but they were clearly made for combat. The sharp angles, the weapon systems, the sleek black design all suggested power. The Council members exchanged uneasy glances. A low hum filled the air as the room grew tense. These ships, they were human-made, yet they seemed to defy the Council's expectations. They weren't just ships, they were a statement. The human representative nodded gravely. They've been building, hiding, preparing, and now they're ready. There was a pause. The silence stretched, thick with uncertainty and disbelief. For the first time, the Council wasn't sure if they had the upper hand. The camera zoomed out, showing the Galactic Council in their imposing chamber. The beings sat, silent, still, their eyes locked on the screen. The air was charged with a nervous energy. What were Earth's true intentions? And if Earth's military power was real, how would they respond? No one knew the answer yet, but the future of the galaxy was about to change. The Galactic Council had just been forced to consider one thing they had never even thought possible before. Maybe, just maybe, Earth wasn't as weak as they thought. Asterisk Earth's unseen military strength, the Galactic Council was still reeling from the shocking message. The words "prepare for the truth" echoed in the minds of every member. Some were skeptical, brushing it off as another human attempt at bravado, but others felt an unsettling sense of doubt. Earth had always been seen as weak, divided by wars, and struggling with their primitive technology. But there was something about this moment that felt different, like the calm before a storm. Behind the scenes on Earth, the true power of humanity was quietly being unveiled, hidden beneath the surface, away from the watchful eyes of the Galactic Council. Earth's most advanced military had been preparing for this very moment. It wasn't the flashy weapons or the advanced technology that the Council had imagined. No, this was something much more strategic, something far more dangerous. The camera zoomed in on an underground base, a massive structure buried deep beneath a mountain. Inside, the hum of machines filled the air as workers moved quickly, their faces focused and determined. These weren't ordinary soldiers. These were the masterminds behind Earth's secret weapons. For decades, humanity had been building, testing, and perfecting their military technology in secret, far away from the prying eyes of the galaxy. At first glance, Earth's military looked small and disorganized, with outdated equipment, but appearances could be deceiving. Beneath the surface, humanity had something the Galactic Council never expected: creativity, the ability to adapt, the will to survive. A high-tech lab buzzed with activity as scientists and engineers worked on a new kind of weapon, one that used energy harvested from Earth's natural resources. This weapon could cripple entire fleets, with no need for physical ammunition. It was clean, efficient, and deadly. The first test had been a success, and the weapon was now ready for deployment. Far above the Earth's surface, in the depths of space, humanity's most advanced ships sat silently in orbit. These ships were designed not just for war, but for Survival. Unlike the sleek high-tech ships of the Galactic Council, Earth's ships were built to endure. They had thick, durable hulls, massive energy shields, and advanced weapon systems that could strike with incredible precision. They weren't the fastest or most beautiful ships, but they were powerful, more powerful than the Council realized. In a secure control room, a group of generals stood in front of a large holographic display, their eyes locked on the fleet. It had been a long time coming, but the wait was finally over. The ships were ready. Earth was ready. "We've waited years for this moment," General Harris said, his voice calm but filled with determination. He was one of the leaders of Earth's secret military project, and he had seen humanity grow from a scattered, vulnerable species into something much stronger. "Do you think the Council will back down?" a younger officer asked, her voice shaky with uncertainty. General Harris looked at her, his eyes hard. "I don't think they will, but they'll have to listen. We've earned that right." Meanwhile, in another part of the planet, Earth's leaders were preparing for the most important moment of all, the message. A second communication was being sent to the Galactic Council, but this one would be different. It wasn't a warning anymore. It was a declaration. The screen flickered as the transmission was sent. This time, the message was clear. Earth wasn't just a small, unimportant planet anymore. They had evolved. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. The message read, "We are ready. We will no longer be underestimated." The camera zoomed out to show the power of Earth's military, thousands of ships, dozens of secret weapons, and a force that was ready to change the galaxy forever. As the fleet moved into position, the Galactic Council could only watch in disbelief. What they thought was a joke had turned into reality. Far from the bright lights of the council chambers, Earth had been quietly preparing for this moment. No one had expected Earth to rise to such power. And now it was too late to stop it. The first sign of Earth's strength came when a fleet of warships suddenly appeared on the edge of the Galactic Council's radar. They moved in formation, silent but deadly, like a predator stalking its prey. The Galactic Council hadn't even seen them coming. On the Council's main screen, the fleet's leader, a sleek, black ship with a large emblem of Earth emblazoned on its side, appeared. The ship was enormous, far larger than anything the Council had seen before. Its weapons were massive, capable of firing energy blasts powerful enough to destroy entire planets. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just a survivor anymore. Earth was a threat. The Council members sat in stunned silence. They had underestimated Earth. They had thought humanity was too weak, too divided. They were wrong. General Harris, standing in his command center on Earth, watched the Council's response on a live feed. He knew that what Earth had just done would change everything. For the first time in galactic history, the smallest, most overlooked planet had become a force to be reckoned with. "It's time," he said, his voice low but steady. "Prepare for the next phase." As Earth's fleet advanced toward the Council's territory, the message was clear. Humanity had a new purpose. They were no longer just trying to survive. They were ready to take their place as one of the galaxy's most powerful forces. And the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming next. The Galactic Council reacts. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. The large screen that had once shown Earth's message now displayed the fleet of warships, looming in space like an unstoppable storm. One by one, the Council members' expressions shifted from disbelief to growing concern. These beings, who had once considered Earth to be nothing more than a speck in the vast expanse of the galaxy, now found themselves questioning everything. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled with near unmatched power. Their fleets had crushed empires. Their technologies were far more advanced than any civilization could dream of, and their influence stretched across the galaxy. The idea that a young, primitive planet like Earth could rise up and challenge them seemed impossible until now. The camera focused on a large alien with shimmering blue skin, a leader from a planet known for its wisdom and intellect. His name was Zalrian, and his reputation was built on his ability to predict the future. But today, even his confidence wavered. He ran a hand through his silver hair, deep in thought. "This is not good," Zalrian murmured, his voice carrying a weight of fear that was rare among the Council. "We have been watching Earth for centuries, and we have consistently underestimated them, but this is something different." Another council member, a hulking creature with scales like iron plates, grunted in frustration. His name was Urog, and he had never been one to show weakness. "This is a mistake. The humans are no threat. We have technology far beyond theirs. We will crush them with a single command." But even Urog's voice lacked the usual certainty. Deep down, he, too, was starting to question if the humans were truly as weak as they had thought. On the Council's screen, a small window popped up, showing the image of Earth's fleet in greater detail. The ships were sleek, dark, and strangely designed, far different from anything the Council had seen before. Each ship bore the emblem of Earth, two crossed swords above a rising sun. But what struck the Council members the most was the silence. There were no communications from Earth, no demands, no threats. Just the fleet, moving steadily toward their space, as if Earth's military had nothing to prove. Zalrian stood up, slowly, turning to face the others. "We must not underestimate them. Their silence is not weakness, it is a statement." At the far end of the room, a smaller, insect-like creature named Mavericks shifted nervously. "What if they have developed something we don't know about? Something worse than anything we've ever encountered?" The Council members exchanged worried glances. Mavericks's words struck a chord. What if Earth's power wasn't just in its ships or weapons, but in something more profound? Could it be that Earth had discovered a way to harness the very forces of nature? Could they have unlocked some ancient secret that even the Council's finest minds had missed? Suddenly, an urgent transmission was sent to the Council's chamber, a direct line from one of Earth's ships. The image that appeared was unlike anything the Council had seen before. A massive warship, larger than any vessel they had in their fleet, appeared on the screen. Its surface shimmered with energy, pulsating in waves of light that seemed to warp space around it. The voice that came through was calm, but firm. "This is the Earth Command Fleet. We are here to speak. You are being given a choice." The Council members froze. The tone in the voice was unlike anything they had expected. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a plea. It was simply certain. The humans were not asking for their attention. They were demanding it. The voice continued, "You have two options. You may stand down and acknowledge Earth's place in the galaxy, or we will force the issue. Earth will no longer be a pawn in the game of the Galactic Council. We will fight, and we will win." The message was clear, but it was also a warning. Earth wasn't asking for permission, they were taking action. And for the first time in their history, the Galactic Council realized that they were not invincible. They had no guarantees that their advanced fleets and weapons could overpower the humans. Not anymore. Zaurian paced slowly, his mind working furiously. He had seen this before: empires that underestimated the power of a smaller civilization, only to be destroyed when they finally rose up. But this was different. Earth wasn't just rising. Earth was showing them something new, something they couldn't understand. Urag, the giant reptilian warrior, slammed his fist on the table, his anger palpable. We cannot let them do this. They are nothing but a nuisance. If we let them challenge us, we risk everything. But we risk everything if we ignore them. Zaurian responded sharply, his eyes burning with realization. This is no longer a matter of pride. This is about survival. We must decide: fight and risk losing everything, or negotiate and risk losing our power. There was silence in the chamber as each member of the Galactic Council pondered their options. The stakes had never been higher. Never before had a smaller species posed such a serious threat to the entire Council. And yet, Earth had done exactly that. The tension was unbearable. The Council was divided. Some still believed in their superiority, while others saw the growing power of Earth as a warning that could not be ignored. The humans had done something. None of them had ever expected. They had made the impossible possible. Zaurian looked back at the screen, the Earth fleet moving slowly but surely toward them. His mind was made up. Earth was not just another planet to be conquered. Earth was a new power, one that would change the course of history forever. And the Galactic Council was not ready for what was coming. "We have no choice," he said quietly, his voice filled with a mix of fear and respect. "We must meet them, and we must do so with the understanding that we are no longer in control." The clash of powers, the void of space, stretched like an endless ocean between Earth's fleet and the Galactic Council's domain. But this space was no longer silent. It was filled with motion, purpose, and silent tension. Earth's warships, like steel beasts gliding through the stars, moved with precision and calm confidence. There was no rush, no fear. They weren't racing into battle, they were walking through the front door of Power. Inside, Earth's flagship, the Horizon, General Harris, stood tall before a massive digital map glowing in the center of the command deck. Around him, officers gave quiet updates. All systems were ready, shields were stable, weapons locked, troops fully alert. And yet, there was no alarm in the air, just sharp focus. This was what they had trained for. Are we receiving a response? From the Council, General Harris asked without looking up. "Still no message," replied Commander Lee, a calm young woman with eyes like ice. "They're waiting, watching, maybe hoping we back down. They should know by now we don't back down." Far across the stars, the Galactic Council watched Earth's fleet approach. Dozens of powerful ships, unfamiliar designs, thick armor, quiet engines, energy signatures that didn't match anything in their database. Some were stealth cruisers, barely visible. Others were armed carriers, brimming with strange pulse cannons and Earth-made gravity weapons. And then, at the front, stood the Horizon, command ship that dwarfed the rest. The Council still hadn't made a final decision. Some argued for diplomacy. Others demanded immediate destruction of the humans before they got any closer. The room was divided and time was running out. "They're in our airspace," said Mavericks, twitching nervously. "Do we fire now? They might be bluffing." "They're not bluffing," Zaurian whispered. "They came with calm, not fear. And they brought everything." Back on Earth's ship, General Harris activated a secure transmission to the Council. His face appeared on a dozen screens inside the Council chamber. "This is General Marcus Harris of the United Earth Defense Command. We are here in peace, But not in weakness, he began. His voice was firm, every word deliberate. For centuries, Earth was silent. Not because we were afraid, but because we were learning, watching, building. We do not wish for war, but we will not kneel. His image faded. Seconds passed. Then a single pulse from the Galactic Council's fleet lit up space, a test shot, not meant to hit. A warning. General Harris narrowed his eyes. So it begins. Without hesitation, Earth's fleet responded. But it wasn't a return fire. It was a display. All ships activated full shield mode, revealing layers of energy domes that shimmered with Earth's new defense, tech-based, not on standard power cells, but magnetic wave-locking grids. A technology never before seen. Then one by one, Earth's ships powered up their weapons. But still, they did not fire. It was not a battle cry. It was a show of control inside the council chamber. Panic had begun to spread. Those shields. We've never seen such strength. They absorbed our pulse shot without a flicker, shouted Yog. We can't match them in numbers, Mavericks hissed, and I'm not sure we can match them in endurance either. They are prepared. Finally, a vote was called among the council leaders, war or negotiation. Before the decision could be made, Earth sent another message, a live feed. The image showed Earth's full armory, land-based planetary defense cannons, stealth orbital weapons, and something that stunned the rumor-cloaked station on the dark side of Earth's moon. Pulsing with energy strong enough to fracture small moons, the Galactic Council had no idea such stations even existed. Then the final message appeared. This is not a threat. It is a promise. If you attack, we will respond. If you speak, we will listen. But we will not run. Earth stands. No more words, just silence. And stars back on the horizon, General Harris turned to his crew. Hold position. He then walked toward the window, staring at the distant glow of the Galactic Council's defense wall. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. Let them decide who they really are, he said softly. Back in the chamber, Zaurian stepped forward slowly and said something that no one ever expected from a high-ranking council member. I vote, we speak to them. The vote passed barely. Just minutes later, the first diplomatic channel between Earth and the Galactic Council was opened. For the first time in galactic history, a planet the Council had once mocked was now at the table as an equal, not because they asked, but because they earned it. Asterisk. The Galactic Council's response to the silence in the Galactic Council chamber was deafening. Tension hung in the air like a thick fog as the screens flickered with images of Earth's fleet holding steady, their massive warships positioned like sentinels in space. Every council member now knew the truth. They had no choice but to respond. Zaurian, the wise leader who had advocated for diplomacy, stood at the center of the room, his eyes scanning the room filled with fear and uncertainty. For centuries, the Galactic Council had been the most powerful force in the galaxy, but now they were facing a species they had long underestimated. The weight of their arrogance had finally caught up to them. We've come to a decision, Zaurian said, his voice carrying the gravity of the moment. We will not be the ones to start a war, but we will not be the ones to bend to Earth's demands either. A quiet murmur spread across the chamber. This was not the outcome they had hoped for. What the Council had once considered a simple confrontation with a weak species had turned into a complex standoff, one with no clear end. Why, our Ogi, the hulking reptilian warrior, slammed his fist onto the council table. They humiliated us. We can't let them dictate the terms. But Zaurian raised a hand, silencing him. We cannot act out of pride. We cannot underestimate them again. The Council had no answer to Earth's power. There were no excuses left. The fleet was real. The weapons were real. And Earth's will was real. Across the stars, Earth's fleet watched the Galactic Council's every move. General Harris stood at the front of his ship, staring at the vastness of space that separated them from the Council. The ball was now in their court. We did not want this, Harris said quietly to his crew, his voice carrying a mix of regret and resolve. But we will not back down. Earth has earned its place here, and the Council will have to face that truth. On Earth, the media was buzzing with speculation. News outlets, government representatives, and military experts all anxiously awaited the Council's response. What would happen next? Would there be war? Would Earth's new strength be recognized? The answer came in the form of a single transmission. Hologram appeared in Earth's command center, showing Zaurian's face. The image was crisp, but the alien's expression was serious, almost grim. "This is Zaurian of the Galactic Council," he began. "We have considered your request, we have seen your strength, and we have made our decision." The room fell. Silent, Zaurian continued, his voice steady but with an underlying weight. "We, the Galactic Council, do not believe in domination through force. But we cannot ignore the truth that Earth has shown us. Your species is no longer a small, insignificant planet. You have earned the right to sit among us." Harris's eyes narrowed slightly. Earth's place in the galaxy was now assured, but this was not the end of the battle. It was the beginning of something much more important. They were no longer just Earth, they were now part of the galactic stage. We extend an invitation to Earth. Zaurian's voice echoed through the command center to join the Galactic Council as equals. "We offer you a seat at the table." A ripple of shock swept through the command room. This was unheard of. No species, especially one considered so primitive, had ever been invited to sit with the galaxy's most powerful races. "This is not an offer of submission," Zaurian continued, "but a recognition of your potential. We are not your enemies. Earth, you are now our equal, and we would be wise to embrace that fact before it is too late." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving General Harris staring at the now empty screen. His heart raced. This wasn't the victory he had envisioned, but it was something more significant than any battle could provide. Earth had been acknowledged as a power in its own right. The Galactic Council had conceded that they could no longer ignore Earth's presence in the galaxy. "We did it," Commander Lee said quietly, standing next to Harris. "No," Harris replied, shaking his head slowly. "We've only just begun." Back in the council chamber, Zaurian turned to the other council members. He could see their divided expressions, some relieved, others still angry. Urag's fists were clenched, his body trembling with barely contained fury. "You've made a mistake, Zaurian. This is weakness. Allowing Earth to join us will only bring chaos. We cannot fight what is inevitable," Zaurian replied calmly, "and we would be fools to try. Earth will be an ally, not an enemy. This is our new reality." The council was silent as Zaurian's words sank in. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council was faced with a choice they had never expected: to adapt to a changing universe or to fight a losing battle. Back on Earth, General Harris stood tall, watching the stars ahead. The universe had changed. No longer was Earth a planet struggling to survive. It was now a power recognized and feared by the galaxy's most formidable forces. "We have a long road ahead of us," Harris said, his voice filled with determination. "But Earth is no longer a small player in the galaxy. We are here to stay." As Earth's fleet continued to move forward, the galaxy itself felt the ripple of change. Earth's military strength had forced the Galactic Council to recognize them, not just as survivors, but as a power capable of shaping the future of the galaxy and the Council. They were left to watch as a new unstoppable force from Earth took its place on the galactic stage.